What is up, fellows, and welcome to another Robocraft updates video. RobocraftX, not normal Robocraft. If you've been paying attention, you might have noticed that I skipped an update. That's because the update was a little too small for its own video, so I'll be doing updates 7 and 8 together in this video. Starting off with experiment 7, there is now collision on the piston rod. I know, exciting, right? Yeah, calm down. Alright. This also means that pistons should clip through much less often. Next up, due to the way parts were scaled during the switch from stasis to simulation, there were some bugs. Now the scaling no longer happens, and some of the bugs that caused connections not to work in some cases and collision of scaled parts to be off should be fixed. However, this also means that cubes in tight spaces will end up getting stuck more often. A couple of new console commands were added along with an info panel. First, I'll tell you about the commands. Setmax sim frames allows you to change how accurate physics steps are, which will have a large impact on your FPS. Show debug display extra info will allow you to see extra info in the new info panel. And the final commands, teleport player relative and teleport player absolute, both teleport the player, with the only difference being whether you're teleported relative to the player or relative to the world. Now that we're done with the commands, I must tell you, what I'm about to share may upset those of you who have an extremely old computer. Please turn away if you have a weak stomach. Due to some of the APIs that are being used, RobocraftX will no longer be supporting 32-bit operating systems. I know, right? A shame. Shame. Now I can't play on my Windows XP. In much less distressing news for probably very few of us, levers can no longer be used through walls. Praise be! Speaking of levers, it'd be cool if you'd lever a like on this video, and while you're at it, maybe consider subscribing. A few miscalculations related to mass and density were corrected. A bug which caused saves with over 100 labeled parts to crash was fixed, and affected saves should now work once again. And another bug related to broken connections on slope/curved cubes should also be fixed. That's all of Update 7. Now for the more exciting stuff. Experiment 8. The most requested feature by far was finally added, a first-person camera. This will be the new default camera, but you can still access third person with Alt plus scroll wheel. However, due to the first person camera change, the camera is now also centered in third person. Apparently there are plans to make changes to the camera, for example showing Leo's hands in first person. Another major quality of life feature that was added in 8 is the extra info that was added when you're scaling a cube. Now it shows the length that it's been scaled to in each axis, X, Y, then Z, followed by the number it will use out of how many you have left. A drastic change was also made to the scaling feature. The scaling axis is now determined by what face it is placed on, rather than what direction you're looking, and you'll also no longer be able to scale cubes into other cubes, which is a pretty good change as well. The green cursor that used to lock to the center of scaled cubes now stays at the original placement location, and instead a new gray cursor is in the center. Cubes that have been scaled now take longer to delete than small cubes, up to 3 seconds for very large shapes. Unfortunately, multiplayer wasn't added in this update, with the developers prioritizing improvements to the base game first, a perfectly respectable decision. It would also be a perfectly respectable decision to like this video if you enjoyed it, and if you double enjoyed it, maybe subscribe. Tell me what you think about this video, or discuss other features you think the developers should add in the comments. Goodbye!
Shut up and sit down.